With the transfer window entering the final stages, Newcastle need to wake up. So from revealing the massive development regarding Newcastle's potential move for Kees Smit, to a massive Fabrizio Romano transfer exclusive, to a blockbuster move for an exciting full-back, to Newcastle setting aside £25 million with a bid imminent, to the shocking massive potential outgoings revealed, we'll also discuss the recent development on Livramento's future. As per after a defining game against Wolves, join us as we'll break down the latest Newcastle United transfer news.
You've been voted #1 at everything. No matter what you do, you seem to be #1. I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Let's go!
So starting off with the Wolves lesson, there was a point early in Eddie Howe's reign when Newcastle United earned the nickname the returning entertainers, thrilling supporters with free-scoring football while often leaving themselves exposed at the back. Goals, more often than not, were never a concern during Howe's tenure. This season, though, a familiar problem has surfaced, but almost exclusively away from home. On their travels in the Premier League, Newcastle have repeatedly struggled to turn possession into purpose. That issue was laid bare once again at Molineux, where a goalless draw against bottom-placed Wolverhampton Wanderers typified Newcastle's attacking bluntness on the road. Despite enjoying 66% of the ball and spending long spells camped in Wolves' half, Howe's side lacked imagination and penetration, producing few clear chances and finishing with an expected goals tally of just 0.88 only. Only West Ham, who currently sit second from bottom, have failed to score against Wolves in the league this season. Even accounting for Wolves' slight improvement under Rob Edwards, Newcastle managing just 2 shots on target, both arriving late in the match, highlighted an ongoing issue when playing away from St James's Park. An unsettling pattern has emerged. The more possession Newcastle enjoy away from home, the less effective they become. In the 7 away fixtures where Newcastle recorded their highest possession figures, they failed to win a single game. They drew blanks in 5 of those matches, recorded an XG below 1.0 on 4 occasions, and never registered more than 4 shots on target. 4 of those games ended in defeat. Ironically, Newcastle's only 2 away wins came in matches where they ranked just 8th and 10th respectively for possession share, at Burnley, 51.9%, and Everton, 51.2%. After 11 league games on the road, Newcastle have collected only 10 points. They have already visited every side in the bottom 6 and emerged with just 1 victory. With trips to Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City and Chelsea still to come, optimism about a sudden turnaround feels misplaced. Strangely, those tougher fixtures may actually suit Newcastle better. Against elite opponents, possession is likely to be ceded, and that could play into Howe's preference for quicker, transitional football. At Wolves, Newcastle's problems in possession were particularly glaring. In the first half alone, they completed 94% of their passes, the highest completion rate ever recorded in a Premier League half, without registering a shot on target since Opta began collecting data in the 2003-04 season. By full-time, they had attempted 585 passes at a completion rate of 91%. The issue was not ball retention, but ambition. Too many passes went sideways or backwards, with little intent to disrupt Wolves' defensive shape. Newcastle failed to create a single Opta-defined big chance, generated just 0.28 xG from open play, and found accuracy with fewer than a third of their crosses. Howe acknowledged the contrast to recent performances, saying, "Football is such a strange game. You go back a couple of weeks and we score 4 against Leeds, look free scoring and like we can create at any moment. This was a very different game. The opponent played a very different way and we struggled to counteract that. It wasn't for the want of trying." That Leeds performance came at home, where Newcastle remain a vastly different proposition. At Molineux there were moments. Nick Voltemade headed wide twice before the break, while Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton produced late efforts on target, but poor decisions and execution undermined those openings. The attacking struggles away from home appear increasingly systemic. There is a hesitancy in Newcastle's play, compounded by forwards short of confidence and rhythm.
This sucks, man.
Voltemade's explosive start to life at the club, 6 goals from his first 6 shots on target, now feels distant. The German has gone 7 matches without scoring in all competitions, and has found the net just 3 times in his last 14 league appearances. Wissa, introduced from the bench, offered little improvement and continues to frustrate with frequent offsides. Neither forward has benefited from consistent training time, with Newcastle's congested schedule limiting preparation. Whether Newcastle would look more fluid had they signed Jørgen Strand Larsen instead of reshaping post-Alexander Isak remains hypothetical. At least for Newcastle, the Norwegian did not emerge to haunt them with a late Wolves winner. The stalemate marked Newcastle's fourth goalless draw of the league campaign, already quadruple the number they recorded across the previous 2 seasons combined. Every one of them has come away from home. Still, the result extended Newcastle's unbeaten run to 4 matches, and with only 2 defeats in their last 11 league games, they sit 8th, just 3 points off 4th-placed Liverpool. Yet if Newcastle are to remain genuine contenders for Champions League qualification, their attacking output on the road must improve. That adjustment may come naturally against possession-dominant sides, where counter-attacking football suits Howe's squad far better than trying to dismantle deep defensive blocks, even those employed by a struggling Wolves side, which is why Newcastle's latest transfer considerations are increasingly being viewed through that lens, as potential solutions may be like the addition of a pure creative midfielder to a growing away-day problem. However, sadly, Newcastle United's pursuit of Kees Smit has hit a clear roadblock, with the AZ Alkmaar midfielder ruling out any move during the January transfer window. Last month, Newcastle World reported that the Magpies had placed the highly rated Dutch teenager near the top of their winter transfer shortlist, following failed attempts to sign him during the summer. While Newcastle had done extensive groundwork on a potential deal with AZ Alkmaar, there is now a growing acceptance inside the club that a January move is unlikely to materialize. Smit, who's 19 years old, has long been monitored by several elite clubs across Europe, but that level of competition had not previously discouraged Newcastle. However, it has become increasingly clear that AZ are prepared to wait until the summer in the hope of sparking a bidding war for their prized asset, a scenario Newcastle are keen to avoid, particularly with major European heavyweights expected to enter the race later in the year. United had hoped to move early this month to bypass that situation altogether, but any lingering optimism was effectively ended when Smit addressed his future publicly. Speaking to ESPN after AZ's 1-0 win over FC Volendam, the midfielder made it clear he will not be leaving this winter. "I know how it is. That's the most important thing, but I don't want to say much about it. A move, is definitely not going to happen this winter. I will 100% stay here. It's great that it's a big fee, of course, but I mainly want to focus on football. We'll see what happens." While Newcastle continue to assess their options in the current window, the club's wider approach remains unchanged. Despite a mounting injury list, particularly in defense, Eddie Howe is open to additions this month only if they align with the club's long-term vision. Short-term fixes for the sake of activity alone are not being considered. That stance was outlined clearly last month by Sporting Director Ross Wilson, who explained the club's thinking around January business. "The scouting work is always ongoing, so the guys are doing loads of work with that all the time. Can we spend in January? Yes. If we want to, we can. I think it's fairly obvious to everybody given the level of club spend in the summer that we're not going to do that again in the winter window as well, for a variety of reasons. But if we want to spend, we can. Of course, we'll be creative. Of course, we'll be opportunistic as well." Wilson added that discussions with Howe are continuous and centered on assessing the current squad before deciding whether January recruitment makes sense. But probably the most important thing is that it would have to align with what the summer plan looks like, which is the bigger squad plan. All of those conversations are ongoing. We'll have the ones about where Eddie sees the need in the squad, if at all. But for now, the conversations have been, what have we got? What do we think about what we've got? Where do we see this? Then let's see how that fits into January and the next part of the conversation, said Wilson. For now, Smit appears firmly off the table until at least the summer, if Newcastle decide to revisit their interest at all. With competition expected to intensify and prices rise, the club may instead choose to focus on targets who better fit both their sporting and financial strategy. However, in a positive development, Newcastle United are reportedly exploring a move for Joaquin Seys this month, as they look to ease growing defensive concerns caused by a series of injuries. According to Craig Hope of the Daily Mail, the Magpies are monitoring the club Brugge defender closely, with his versatility viewed as a key attraction. Eddie Howe's side have yet to make a move in the January transfer window, but the need for reinforcements is becoming increasingly apparent. Injuries to Tino Livramento and Dan Burn have already stretched Newcastle's defensive resources, while Fabian Schär is also facing a lengthy spell on the sidelines. As a result, depth at the back has become a priority. A new left back is thought to be high on Howe's wish list. With Byrne unavailable and Lewis Hall carrying much of the workload, despite dealing with fitness issues of his own this season, Newcastle are keen to find a younger option who can provide reliable cover while also offering long-term potential. Newcastle have previously shown interest in Dayann Methalie of Toulouse, a powerful left-back who can also operate at centre-back. However, while the French under-21 international remains on the club's radar, it is believed that move may be revisited later in the window. A recent knee injury suffered by Methalie has also prompted Newcastle to consider alternative targets. That has led to increased focus on Seys, whose profile fits what Newcastle are currently seeking. The 20-year-old has impressed in Belgium this season and is capable of playing on either flank, although he primarily operates at left back. His adaptability has drawn comparisons to Livramento, making him an appealing option amid the current injury crisis. Beyond the immediate situation, Newcastle may also be planning with the future in mind. Livramento, whose future we will discuss more later in the video, continues to attract interest from clubs such as Manchester City, while Kieran Trippier is playing a reduced role and could be phased out over time. In that context, securing a versatile young defender capable of covering both full-back positions could prove a smart piece of business. Whether Newcastle decide to act this month remains to be seen, but with defensive numbers dwindling and long-term squad planning underway, Seys is emerging as a name worth watching as the window progresses. On the other hand, Mark Douglas at the Eye Paper, he reveals that Bournemouth's James Hill is a player that is admired by scouts at the club, although the arrival of an overseas centre-back is considered more realistic this month. Douglas adds that Giorgio Scalvini does not appear to be an option this month, however, despite the Italian being open to a switch to St James's Park. While Craig Hope at the Mail continues to report that Newcastle are keeping tabs on Lecce star Tiago Gabriel, who has impressed in Serie A this season. Reporting that the towering 21-year-old Portuguese youth international is clearly on our radar, even recently adding that Newcastle have set aside £25 million should the right centre-back become available this month. Then, in another development, Newcastle United, West Ham and Everton are all monitoring Genoa right-back Brooke Norton-Cuffy ahead of a potential move during the January transfer window, with the Serie A side believed to be holding out for a fee of around €20 million. The 20-year-old only joined Genoa last summer after leaving Arsenal, completing a transfer reportedly worth €2 million plus performance-related add-ons. As part of the agreement, Arsenal are also set to receive a percentage of any future sale. Although early fitness issues disrupted Norton-Cuffy's introduction to Italian football, the England under-21 international has since become a key figure in Genoa's first team. He has started 19 of their 21 league fixtures this season, missing just one match through suspension, and another most recently due to a minor muscular problem. His consistency and athleticism have not gone unnoticed. Strong performances in Serie A have sparked interest from several major Italian clubs, while Premier League sides are now firmly in the mix. Transfer journalist Ben Jacobs reports that Newcastle, West Ham and Everton are all considering a January approach for the right back. That interest adds to existing attention from Juventus, Inter Milan and Napoli, highlighting Norton-Cuffy's growing reputation across Europe. Genoa are understood to be open to a sale this month, provided their €20 million valuation is met. The club has a history of sanctioning major mid-season departures, having completed 3 of the 10 most expensive January sales in Serie A history, including the transfers of Krzysztof Piatek to AC Milan, Nicolo Ravella to Juventus, and Radu Dragusin to Tottenham Hotspur. With demand building both in Italy and England, Norton-Cuffy could quickly become one of the most talked-about defensive prospects of the winter window. Then, interestingly, according to recent developments, Matt Targett is now expected to stay at Middlesbrough despite suggestions he could be recalled from his loan spell at the Riverside to boost Newcastle's defensive options. The player is reportedly keen to play regularly, and it's thought his loan move at there could be turned into a permanent one this summer, with Eddie Howe and Ross Wilson likely to respect his wishes to stay on Teesside. Building on from that in some outgoings transfer news, Newcastle United have also recently confirmed that Ben Parkinson has completed a permanent move to Falkirk for an undisclosed fee, bringing an end to his time on Tyneside. The Newcastle Academy product wasted no time in making an impression at his new club. Parkinson made his debut in the Scottish Cup, coming on as a half-time substitute, and produced an eye-catching cameo. Just 15 minutes after entering the fray, the forward found the net before going on to score the winning penalty in the shootout, helping Falkirk progress in the competition. A strong start to life in Scotland for Parkinson, and an encouraging early statement from another Newcastle Academy graduate as he takes the next step in his career. Two more Magpies have been linked with possible exits, with an out-of-contract under-21 player joining Jamaal Lascelles in attracting external interest. According to the Daily Mail, Alfie Harrison is now on the radar of Birmingham City. While specific details remain limited, the Championship side are believed to be considering a cut-price move for the 20-year-old midfielder, who has entered the final 6 months of his Newcastle contract and could therefore be available at a reduced fee this month. Harrison arrived on Tyneside from Manchester City in February 2024 for a 7-figure sum, but he has struggled to establish himself at senior level. Although his output in the under-21 scene has been encouraging, registering 12 assists in Premier League 2 over the past season and a half, his pathway into Eddie Howe's first-team plans has stalled. Notably, 16-year-old Sam Alabai has been preferred in and around the senior setup in recent months. The same Daily Mail report also provided an update on Jamaal Lascelles' future, suggesting the former club captain could be edging towards a move abroad. Lascelles is said to be attracting interest from clubs in Turkey, with January representing Newcastle's final opportunity to secure a fee before his contract expires in the summer. This is not the first time a switch to the Turkish Super League has been mooted, with Besiktas and Trabzonspor both linked with the defender in previous windows. Now 32, Lascelles has made just 2 appearances this season and continues to battle fitness issues. Eddie Howe recently shed light on the situation, revealing that the centre-back has not felt comfortable physically, which has kept him out of full training and limited his chances of re-establishing himself in the squad. As Newcastle balanced squad management with longer-term planning, further exits, particularly involving fringe and out-of-contract players, may yet define the remainder of the window as much as any late incoming business. Newcastle United may be heading toward an uncomfortable situation regarding the future of Tino Livramento, with uncertainty growing around the defender's long-term commitment to the club. Labelled unbelievable since arriving on Tyneside, Livramento joined Newcastle in the summer of 2023 in a deal that could rise to £40 million. The move quickly proved to be a shrewd one, with the right-back establishing himself as one of the standout young defenders in English football. Now 23 years, Livramento has already made 93 appearances for the Magpies and is widely regarded as one of the Premier League's finest players in his position. His progress has also been recognised at international level, earning 3 senior England caps, clear evidence of his rapidly rising stock. The major question facing Newcastle, however, is whether those prime years will be spent at St James's Park. According to Craig Hope of the Daily Mail, Newcastle are eager to tie Livramento down to a new deal, with the club keen to reward his importance with improved terms and secure his long-term future. However, despite his current contract running until the summer of 2028, Livramento has opted to delay negotiations. The report suggests the defender wants to reassess his options at the end of the season, particularly with Manchester City closely monitoring his situation. A big shout out to Tony, who had actually noticed this before the reports came out. That decision has inevitably raised concerns within the club hierarchy, given Livramento's growing reputation and market value. From Eddie Howe's perspective, the situation is far from ideal. Newcastle currently possess what many believe to be the Premier League's best right-back, yet there is a real risk they could eventually lose control of his future. If no agreement is reached, next summer would see Livramento enter the final 2 years of his contract, traditionally a critical point for clubs weighing up whether to sell or risk losing a player for below market value. With elite clubs circling and Livramento approaching his peak years, Newcastle may soon face a defining decision: convince their star defender to commit his future to the project, or cash in while his value remains at its highest. Then moving on regarding Sandro Tonali's future, as he has firmly re-established himself as a key figure for Newcastle United since returning from his betting ban in August 2024. The Italian midfielder enjoyed a strong campaign last season, scoring 6 goals in 45 appearances as he played a central role in Newcastle's League Cup triumph, the club's first major trophy in 56 years, and a 5th-place Premier League finish that secured Champions League qualification. This season, Tonali has continued to be an influential presence in midfield, contributing 5 assists in 30 appearances so far. Although he is yet to find the net, his partnership alongside Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton remains fundamental to Eddie Howe's system, providing balance, intensity and control at the heart of the side. Despite his importance at St James's Park, Tonali's form has naturally attracted attention from some of Europe's biggest clubs. Addressing speculation over the midfielder's future, Fabrizio Romano offered an update on his YouTube channel, making it clear that a January departure is not on the cards. Tonali will not leave Newcastle in January. Forget about it, impossible, Romano said. In Italy, the possibility for Tonali to return is linked to Juventus. Juventus consider him their dream signing for 2026. They will be there. Romano also suggested that interest may extend beyond Serie A, with Premier League rivals monitoring the situation closely. People close to the player also expect top Premier League clubs to arrive and jump on the case for the possibility to sign him. It's going to be an interesting summer for Tonali, but it depends on Newcastle. They will control the story and the price, which will be important. For now, however, Tonali remains fully committed to Newcastle's cause, with the club firmly in control of his future and no intention of entertaining offers in the short term.